I'm going to quiz you on groups of animals.
Is it multiple choice or?
Then a murder of
crows? You're pretty impressed. A crush of rhinos. What? You're freaking out right now. How do I know this?
a congregation of...
Don't skip all the way to the hard ones. Wait, a congregation of, I want to say pelicans. It's a congregation of alligators?
Yeah,
That's not a good one. A cast of, do I get a clue? Cast of falcons. Hashtag cast of falcons. Hello, adventure. So one of the challenges with relationships sometimes is losing contact. And we all do this. We graduate from high school and we say, hey, yeah, we're gonna always stay best friends forever. And then what happens is that you lose contact. Well, it works in every part of relationship. That follow up and staying in contact with people is so important. So what if there was a tool that allowed me to it would remind me, hey, you're losing contact with somebody. Well, the good news is there is something, and it's called Contactually, and it is one of my favorite programs to use. It becomes my thoughtfulness accountability partner. So I can't wait to show you Contactually. So let's jump right over into this bucket. So here's what it looked like when I log into Contactually. What it's doing is it's showing me what my follow-ups are. And so because I had selected 3 a day, and you can select 1 or you can select different amounts, but I selected 3 a day, it is saying, hey, here's the next 3 that you need to follow up with. And so right from here, I can say, you know what, I'm gonna snooze this one for a day or 7 days. Or what I can do is say, you know what, I already followed up on this one. And here's what happened is it was a phone call. Here is one of my buddies. I was like, oh, you know what? I want to follow up with him. I don't want to snooze. I don't want to say I already followed up. And so when I go to follow up, what's really cool is it loads this up, has his information. I can change the subject, all of this, but it also has my last email. So it logs all that information with him. Also, it will load in any personal notes I have about him, as well as when you see that we connect social media, it will also have his social media just built in. And what's great is make sure like, hey, did he actually get this? Did he actually get the email, open it up, click on anything? I can also, right from here if I want to, is I can add a task that I need to do. Hey, remind myself I need to do this with the relationship, or I can add in a contact right from this screen. Once I go from my dashboard, what I want to do is I want to show you the buckets. A bucket is just like a list, like a Twitter list. It's just like a circle. I'm going to add a bucket here. And for example, I'm going to maybe call this adventure team. My goal might be stay in weekly contact. And so what it's going to do is just remind me if 7 days go by and I have not contacted people on the adventure team, I want you to notify me so that I don't lose contact with that core team. What's really cool is I can just add contacts right from here. So here's Jeremiah. I'm going to add him right to that bucket. So now it's saying, hey, Jeremiah, if you have not had any contact with him in 7 days, right now he's green. Why? Because I contact him a lot. But what's cool is it will move from green to yellow to red. And what it is telling me is you are starting to lose contact with him. But I also want to show you if I go over to contacts and I can say, hey, I want you to sort by who's my most recent contact. So the last communication I had back and forth with Jeremiah is only 4 hours ago. But I can also say, tell me who some of my most contacted people are, somebody on my team, and I can say, oh, Lily, I haven't put her in a bucket yet, right? So one of the big things that you're always gonna wanna do is making sure that you bucket people into that list. And what's great is people can be part of multiple buckets. You see it's starting to show like, hey, you're good with these people because you've contacted them recently. Hey, your buddy Neil, he's starting to use yellow. So it's strong relationship, fading relationship, or weak relationship. So it's just saying, hey, you're starting to fade on your buddy here, and it can show me visually. Or like this other friend of yours, like those are turning red. That means your relationship is getting weaker. You need to contact them. And so what Contactually is doing is it's automatically giving me those reminders. So now that you kind of understand the interface, I just want to show you really quick. When you go over to settings, first thing that you're going to see is, hey, I want to be reminded 3 a day, 7 a day. I want to be reminded on the weekends. You need to pick how many follow-ups do you want? Do you want that weekly, daily, however that's going to work? So what you want to do is you want to connect your email address. So this is why we say, hey, we want you to organize this inside of your Gmail contacts, because then those can sync. You need to make sure that with Contactually, you connect it to an email address. That is why we use Gmail, because it can sync back and forth. So as I make a change in Contactually, it is updating in there. And that is amazing. The other thing is I want to connect to social. So for example, let me just take Twitter as an example. Now, what is amazing is my Twitter conversations will now be synchronized. So if I have a conversation with somebody on Twitter, it's going to say, oh, well, you're staying in contact with them. You can do the same thing with Facebook and LinkedIn, which is really great. So if you're like me, you're like, I cannot wait to get in here. Now I want to give you one piece of advice, because it's the mistake that I made, is that you can choke on too much data. What I did is I went and I exported every contact I ever had, and I just put everything in there, and then it became overwhelming. What you want to do first is you want to organize. And hopefully what you've been doing is you've been organizing your contacts like we talked about, and start bringing some of them in. And don't worry that then you have to put everyone in that right bucket right away. So what I did is, moving forward, I said, hey, I want to take the people that I had some interaction with, and then I'm going to organize that person. So that means in my contacts, I might have 500 people in there right now. Most of them aren't in buckets, but as I have contact with somebody, now let me organize that and keep that relationship going. Create your free account. It is a great tool. What it will help us do is help us to be that anti-busyness filter. If we're too busy for people, we're too busy. And so this helps us never forget somebody important in our lives while we're on adventure, and your adventure begins right now.